Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. It is I, DIGI Driver, and I'm a bit beat. It's been, what, 2, 3 weeks solid since I streamed, and I'm back in the sim, but I'm not doing anything particularly by the books. I'm not going on VATSIM. I'm not doing scenery dev. Today is quite literally just going to be a day for me to chill. And I'm just noticing that I am not getting sound from the sim, so stand by. Is it working now? I can't tell. Oh, wait. I think it just kicked in. Yep, there we go. All right, so sorry about that. Let's go ahead, just plunk down in a random hangar somewhere and catch up because literally that's what we're going to do today. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having a very good Sunday afternoon. This is Sunday, August wait, the 6th? Yeah, the 6th. Yeah, you can tell, can't you? You can tell. I know I can tell. So, let's pick a tiny little plane. Not that I'm going to be doing much flying. Let's see. Where's my cat? One of my cats is trying to get my attention. Where are you, friend? Oh, you're back there by the door. I guess they're trying to make me go somewhere, but yeah, I'm going to sit down for a while today. Let's just pick the G1000 Cessna Skyhawk. Go out with the Kenmore livery, and that's pretty good. And we'll pick a... You know what? Let's find an airport near Alaska, or in Alaska. Not Valdez. Where was... Oh my word. Seriously? Wow. All right. We're gonna load up here and we're gonna see what we see. How big is this runway? Not that big. Okay. Um Good enough then. We'll just load into a parking spot somewhere and we'll make sure it's real time, which is what it looks like. We'll we'll keep group traffic off, and it is literally 11:39 a.m. over there. And that's fine. It's Tangled. Hello, my friend. It's going slowly. I am on the rebound from a 2-week trip to Alaska, which we'll be getting into very shortly. Just getting set up, and we'll be talking about the trip and maybe a few flight sim things, maybe some plans for the next few weeks and months. But meantime, ooh, it's raining in Alaska today. Let me see. Um, don't care about fuel. We can make stuff happen. And it does look like it is snowy. Did I miss the snow? I guess I missed the snow. I tell you what, let's play with the weather, make it a bit. You went to Alaska at the start of July. Yeah. So I went to Alaska at the end of July. So you already know, like I already know to tell you, my mind was blown, absolutely blown. I'm going to keep the weather clear, but time of day is going to be relatively the same. And I don't know if I should have a different satellite source, but we'll do what we can. Anyway, folks, hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And where is my cat? Over here. There we go. Um, yeah. He said something's wrong. Sorry for the coughing, folks. I came back with bonus things, but that's a story for a little bit later. Suffice it to say, we are back, and I'm going to use the drone cam. Oh my word, I recognize this place. This is absolutely nuts. I didn't realize there was an airport right here. I I actually recognize this place, and I'll tell you why in just a bit. But hello everybody. I got back from a 2-week trip to Alaska, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna take a look at some pics, maybe a few videos, and then if I have time a little bit later, I might even do one or two flights around the area, just so I can see some of the places that I've been to and see if I recognize them in the sim. Everyone lives in one building. Um, so hello. I flew out to Alaska and spent a week going through some places, and then I took a cruise out of Alaska down to Vancouver. So I'm going to share a few pictures with you, and we'll recount the experience, so to speak. Now, bear with me. I apologize. I was trying to get my picture window to show up nicely, but the only thing I could do was activate display capture. So I'll be switching back and forth between views just so I don't share too much. I'm literally showing from the raw feed. Literally have my phone hooked up to my computer to share with you some of the pictures and adventures that we had. So let's kick it off right away. Let me see what picture I have first. So, no, not you. Oh, I know why. It's literally because it's the display capture. All right. I'm going to use my other view so I can see what's going on at the same time. All right. This is not aligned nicely. Oh my word. Is this going to be how the stream goes? Probably. No. Can I change the size of this? I don't think I can. So, wait. There's got to be a better way to do this. There has to be. There has to be. I refuse to accept mediocrity. Um, Talk amongst yourselves for a little bit. I am going to. Oh no, I can't switch to be right back and modify it in a different picture. No, I guess I'm gonna have to make it smaller, but why? Oh, this sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I legit thought it was gonna be easier to share pictures of things, but I might be able to get by simply changing the size of this. So let me do this. There we go. I'm going to. No, I can't zoom out. That sucks. That's zoomed, but that's not going to do me or you guys any good. Can I change the size of this picture or set as something else? No, there's got to be a better way to do this. Um, all right. Give me a bit. Give me a bit. Stand by. I'm gonna try to figure this out in the next like few things. I flew I flew like the leg that actually took me into Alaska was Seattle to Fairbanks, and then I went on buses and stuff from Fairbanks down to like Anchorage. All right, so there's gotta be a better way for me to make this happen. Hold on, guys. The only thing I haven't tried yet is screen capture, and we're gonna see what happens. Ooh, I think I might have figured it out. There we go. Okay, so this is the picture, and this is the actual screen. And let me see if I can actually get this. All right, so now you should be able to see the photos, and I'm going to switch off between pictures. So this was the picture from whatever seat I was on Alaska Airlines when I took off in the morning. I had a very long ride out to the airport to fly out, and the flight over to Seattle took me about 5.5 to 6 hours. But the story behind this picture actually begins about a week before I even got to this point, because we had been planning and prepping and getting ready for the trip for literally like the month of July. And I was busy at work and I was trying to figure stuff out, and it literally took me through the month so fast that Mrs. Digi actually was doing most of the prep. Uh Newark to Anchorage. I wish I had a direct to Fairbanks. I did not. So I had to take my flights. This one and the flight that took me from Seattle to Fairbanks, that was like 6 hours. Excuse me, about 10 hours. Said Mr. Egan, hello, good to see you. Glad to have you aboard. Don't mind me. I'm still rocking back and forth in my chair. My brain still thinks I'm on a cruise ship, and we're recounting my trip to Alaska. So we'll keep it moving along. The last week before the trip, Mrs. Digi was literally like getting most of the stuff ready in terms of paperwork, figuring out what we were going to pack, what we weren't going to pack. And then, literally the day before, we were in crunch mode. Not as bad as usual, because I usually pack the day before I go flying. This, of course, was a different picture because obviously we were going to be gone for about 2 weeks, and packing the day before was not going to be, feasible. So we had packed the week before, and Saturday was just a chance for us to tune down. But I also rearranged the office that I work at home, since I work from home for my IRL software developer job. So that was pretty busy, and we wrapped up literally sometime around like 12, maybe 1 in the morning. And then I woke up literally around 3:15, fell into my clothes, more or less. Got ready. We got picked up by the limo service, and then we rode out to the airport. So, boarded an Alaska Airlines plane, and literally, I think this was Mrs. Digi's shot from her window seat as we got ready. So, let me switch to the next picture. And of course, absolutely, like this is the hallmark of a good trip. If you have a Biscoff cookie and you're flying, then by all means, that's a great trip. It is one of my go-to snacks when I'm flying. If I have the option to eat one of those, I will eat them every time. They're delicious. And as you can tell, it goes great with coffee. So that was literally the flight to Seattle. And oh wow, this was the view out our window. We sorry, we had somewhat clear and then cloudy skies. We literally crisscrossed the country, and I think we flew past places like Illinois, like Nebraska, Montana. We got to see some beautiful clouds, and these aren't even all the pictures that exist because, frankly, we Mrs. DG took some pictures that that are amazing. We were both like snapping pictures whenever we could. I think this was when we were getting closer to Washington State, and at some point I might see if I can grab the pictures that she took of Mount Rainier as we turn final to Seattle. And speaking of SeaTac, bum ba da we were in the terminal, and we were waiting for our next flight. We had like about like a I think like a 45-minute turnaround or something like that. And then we had enough time to grab food, and we actually sat down, ate the food, got back up, lined up for the next flight, which was another Alaska Airlines flight from Seattle to Anchorage. And then, let me see, do we have anything? That's not the best picture, actually. That one's not that bad, but you don't really see much. Yeah, I'll share it with you anyway. Okay, I think this picture was on the way into Fairbanks, and this could be the part of the Alaskan mountain range, but I don't know that for a fact. I think that was when we were like starting to come into Alaska proper, because we were flying up through British Columbia, and then we of course touched down in Fairbanks. And let me see, what else do we have? This next picture is kind of funny. This was the view from my hotel room in Fairbanks. The package that our family took was a land and sea package. So we had a tour director, and they were taking us from city to city, from Fairbanks to the Denali State Park area, to Talkeetna, and then to Anchorage. So we stayed in three out of those four locations. We stayed in a hotel, and this was the weirdest one, not because of the accommodations, but because of the fact that we were still in enough of summertime that literally, as I looked out the window at about 2 in the morning my time, because it was like, let me see, 1, 12, 11, 10, like 10 p.m. their time, it wasn't, it wasn't not even bright out. It was like the sun was still up, which was crazy. I think sunset over there was like 12, but this was during the day. This is when we literally got there and we were just setting up. It is crazy. Now, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna show you guys some pictures that we took during the next day's events. This is an unassuming picture right now, but what you're seeing is a house. I think it's the Chennai River, and we were on, for lack of a better phrase, we were on a riverboat, and we were doing a riverboat tour up the river, seeing local houses, and we also got to visit I think like a fish hatchery or harvesting spot with story and just narration by I think like a Athabascan indigenous descendants, which was super dope. I think you're right. The Kenai River, yes. And let me see something. I'm gonna look for another picture. Some of these were pictures that I literally snapped when we were going through the river, and this particular picture is interesting because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a woman Iditarod racer who won back in like I think like 1986. I already forget her name, but I think this was her house or one of the houses of somebody that actually does the Iditarod. And I have a couple pictures of the that person's daughter on the other side of the boat that had a place where they were actually training sled dogs. So this is like one of the houses that's out there. And let me see. These houses just look cool. Had to take pictures of them. And here we go. Here we go. Check this out. This was the place where we actually had the demonstration of the sled dogs. Now, take a close look. These dogs are like roaring and ready to go, and this is no joke. They're actually going to pull an ATV, and there's a lot of story here, but I'll stay on point. Basically, they work with sled dogs that are just enthusiastic. They have a passion for life. They're ready to go. They want to do exactly what it is they're looking to do, which is basically, pull a sled during the summer. Obviously, they're going to pull an ATV, and I'm pretty sure they had it in neutral. I think I have video of them taking off, and literally they were just booking around the this little I guess like pond. So basically, this person I think in the yellow shorts is that Iditarod racer's daughter, and kind of like continued the tradition of keeping or training or bringing up sled dogs. Let me see any pictures I have. I probably have a few, and essentially that's pretty much it. Like they're they're pulling the sled, and this is a funny picture. This is what happens, like, when they come back in. They got released off of like their leads, and they jumped in the ran into the river to um to cool off, which was just like a joy to see, because the dogs are full of life. They're literally absolutely full of life, and it was a great experience to catch. Let me see. Oh yeah, check this out. I forget the name of this river, but it is a very, very, very big glacier-fed river, and this is where I guess you could say that the headwaters, no, not the headwaters, the mouth of the Kenai River meets it. I think it starts with a T. I don't know if it was. It's not the Talkeetna River. I wish I would have written down more stuff, but I have plenty of papers from the cruise that I might take pictures of and put up on my Discord so that I can actually share more details with you guys. But we took the riverboat pretty much all the way up here and then turned around, and I think that's when we came back to the Athabascan settlement. And let me see where the pictures are. Oh, I guess I didn't take any pictures there. Well, I'm gonna see if I can find them later. But I am going to share with you some very interesting pics of what we saw. I think later that day, we went to see a part of the Alaska pipeline, and in that same place where we took the bus ride, we got on a train, and we took a train ride down to a kind of prospecting place where we actually got to pan for gold. I'm literally not kidding you. We literally panned for gold. The story goes that, it's like, oh, they panned all the gold they could out of Alaska, and what I remember of the story was surprising and simple. They didn't run out of gold. They ran out of profit. The problem with, I guess, panning or mining for gold was that they hit a point at which the I think the U.S. government um, leveled or fixed the price of gold. So it was like, I think it was like 12 to 36 cents an ounce or something like that. So what happened was, when the price of gold got fixed or stayed fixed, what started to happen was the increased costs of extracting and panning and harvesting all that gold. It started to cut into the profits of people that were running machines like the one you're looking at right now, which actually has stuff that takes, like, I guess, like material up into the building, and then it filters it, and you get gold, and the rest of it comes out the back as basically like dirt or like terrain that it more or less chews through. So eventually it got to the point where people weren't making money, or were not going to be able to make money unless they really just, excuse me, they invested so much of their time into it. So they stopped. So there's still gold in them Dar Hills, and I actually got to mine, not mine, I got to pan for some. It's just that, it's not, it's, let's put it this way. I had a good time, Mrs. DG and I had a good time grabbing gold. It's not enough to, it was enough for us to, I think, put it in like a container, which I still have, but you can actually, I think, like pay to have the gold put into like a thing to preserve it. We didn't do that. And this is part of a piece of the Alaska pipeline, and you can see, I think those things are called um, dumb pigs. They're smart pigs and dumb pigs. That cutaway with the dumb pigs is basically how the pipeline, I think, gets cleaned out. I think that's what I remember. So what else do I have? Let's see. Plenty of things. On my way from Fairbanks to the Denali State Park area where we stayed, we stopped at a rest stop and picked up a few things, and they had a totem along with some, I think those are either moose or caribou antlers. I think they're moose antlers. And there were, I mean, we grabbed some snacks. We admired the bear carvings, as you can see. Actually, that was pretty good. Looks like a grizzly bear. And then this is when the terrain started getting very interesting. This is a shot from the bus as we start getting closer and closer to Denali State Park. And those mountains, they're not even half the size of Mount Denali. Those are kind of just like the warm up mountains to the big show. Unfortunately, we did not get a chance to see Denali very well, but when we went on a wildlife tour, we actually got to see it from an extreme distance. So I think I understand how high, or excuse me, how majestic it is, just based on the crummy picture that I took. And here is the view from our room at the lodge in, or just outside, Denali State Park. So there was a little bit of rain that came through, and you could see how the clouds kind of like hug the mountains way off in the distance. But again, those aren't even half the size of Denali. They, like on a clear day, they look beautiful, but they're just like warm-ups. Trust me. This was a shot from outside our lodge, just taking a look at some of the hills and mountains out that way. That was, I think, the next day when we were getting ready to go. Oh, you went whitewater rafting. We did see some people rafting, and I would imagine those rivers are very cold. Thing about our trip though, it actually wasn't that cold at all in the interior. It's actually quite warm. We came into Fairbanks and it was actually, I think, in the mid to upper 80s. It wasn't humid, it was just very warm. And the interesting thing about the sun in Alaska as you go up further north, the weird thing about it is something about the way the rays hit areas like Fairbanks. What is actually advertised as 75, I think feels more like 85. And Fairbanks, actually, I forgot to mention, it has one of the biggest temperature swings of any. U.S. city in the States. Like, you can go in 1 year, you can go from I think like 90 upper 90s temperatures to winters where it's like 30, 40, 50, 60 below. And that's absolutely insane. When I found out about that, I was just like, I was dumbstruck. I'm like, that's a crazy, crazy, crazy range of temperature. And I think the running joke was, don't buy a used car from Fairbanks because it's been put through the ringer. But I mean, all things considered, I guess I understand why, because you really do have a wide swath of conditions to deal with. But it is what it is. Now, for perspective, this is a kind of map, well, topography, so to speak, of the of part of the Alaskan range where Denali is. And I think we were either looking at these mountains or these mountains or these mountains, but we never saw the top of this up close. This was in the visitor center. And there were lots of animals that I think we saw. And I'm going to share with you one of the parts of the trip which was prevalent and significant: food. So, this was one of the places where I ate dinner with the family. It's called King Salmon. And one of the enjoyable parts of the trip was that I actually got to try Alaskan salmon. And it's like, oh, big deal, did you? Come on, it's just, like fish, right? Not quite. It's like me going on a trip to the Caribbean and eating the local food. You eat the local food and you really kind of get a taste for the land. We went to a place called Double Muskies. I never, I, I might have seen that place, but I didn't go there. This was part of the tour package, so we had um, we had vouchers to go to particular restaurants, and we had a good time. I think I tried. I think I went for it that night. I think I had the king salmon. Their salmon is fantastic. It's unbelievably good. Also, their steak is great. My family had, they enjoyed like crab and like lobster where they could get it. It was it was unbelievable. I myself did not indulge. I was more the steak and salmon set. And oh yeah, here we go. Note: smoked wild Alaska salmon chowder. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. If you like your soups creamy, if you like chowders and stuff like that, that was incredible. I happened to snap some pics of the flora and fauna as well outside the restaurant. Things looked very beautiful. And let me see, do I have any good pictures? Any good other pictures? Now, we'll go ahead and we'll scroll right through to the nature tour. This was us going into Denali State Park. Like, we were already inside, and it was probably sometime around 7, like 8:30 in the morning or something like that. And we were taking a kind of dirt trail. I mean, it was asphalt roads until you got to about 5 miles in, and then basically the uh, the the rationale is that they kept the roads. They decided to deliberately not pave the roads and just kind of use like dirt and rock for the road system, like crushed or like gravel. to allow the road to kind of coexist more with the park and the wildlife, because I think it's easier for things like for animals like moose and bear and caribou to cross over, like, a crushed dirt path or crushed gravel or crushed rocks, as opposed to crossing over asphalt, which is unnatural. And you can also see a seagull by the side of the railing on the bridge. And the water, there were places where the water was absolutely beautiful. The water was in some places clearer, and in some places there were big, big rivers that looked like they were like, milk chocolate, or like, gray, or like coffee. And the difference in coloration actually helps determine whether or not those rivers were being glacier fed or not, which was amazing. And this gives you perspective of just the kind of transition between the areas that we were riding through in the bus and the open expanse. This state park is literally one of the only ones in the country that has vistas like this. There's so much open area for wildlife to live in and to migrate through into and out of those mountains out there. Excuse me, just need to cough. Sorry. There's the expanse out here is absolutely amazing. It, like, when I saw the views, I was like, you have difficulty putting it into words even now. Like, I have difficulty describing it because there are few superlatives that can even touch how amazing that day was. So let me scroll ahead, and I think this is an example of one of the areas where you have this kind of glacier-fed stream that we're crossing over. Big river, and you notice it's not clear. It's not that it's dirty, it's just that the sediment, or the minerals that get um, tossed along with the current, that's what I believe is responsible for the coloration of the river. I've forgotten so many of the names since, but these views were, I'm just telling you, fantastic. And if you want to see that on a macro level, here you go. This was the first rest stop that we took, and the water just picks up a lot of the sediment, and this is glacier fed as far as I can tell. That bridge on the left hand side, way down at the bottom, that's actually where we crossed to continue into the park. I did not go fishing, but I did see more than a few native Alaskans that chose to do so. I got I got to taste the fruits of their labor. So they fished, I ate. What can you say? I enjoyed myself. And skipping ahead. Yeah, like I said, here is a shot from the bridge that I showed you in the last shot. We're literally crossing over this area, and I think there were some people that were hiking up this river that, like, it's just like matter of fact. I think you have to just like get a permit to go through it or to go hiking, and that's about it, which is amazing. And I think this is, I want to say it's a beaver, but I could be wrong. I got this shot from the bus, and it's a tiny little thing, but we saw animals like that along the route, which was great. What other picture? I happened to grab a few pictures of, I think, caribou on the side of a hill, but it was very difficult to make them better with my phone. Okay, now here is the amazing shot. The shot does not look like much. You have like a meadow, you have some brush, and then you have basically this like mountain line, right? Up here, way, way off in the distance is, I believe this is Denali. And you have to pay attention because it's so far back and so hazy. But this was as close to Mount Denali, to as close to sighting Mount Denali as I was going to get this trip. There was a company that would take you up in a twin engine, like I'm guessing like turbocharged, like prop plane. You would, I think, circle around the mountain. I didn't we didn't actually have the excursion to do that. It would have been the trip of a lifetime. But again, so's going to Alaska. Like so's actually getting this close to Denali. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. The next like few days, it just got to the point where we couldn't actually sight Denali because of either excess clouds or rain. Trying to get a good shot, but I don't think I got more than one or two shots of caribou. And I was lucky enough to see it from Anchorage. Yeah, yeah, it's majestic. It's hard to make this out because the resolution on my camera, on my phone camera, wasn't the best, zoomed in. But this is actually a caribou on the side of a hill, and we followed it for a while, and it was great. We would later wind up seeing a bear and a mountain sheep and a few other animals as well. Here is another shot of the mountain range in the park. Denali, I think, is somewhere behind these clouds. And again, like I said, these are just kind of like the warm-up clouds to Denali in and of itself. But the view is so, so amazing. Yeah, yeah. I heard stories of moose like being very territorial and I think like charging people. It puts it in perspective because yes, I wouldn't want to cross paths with any kind of a bear, but I most definitely don't want to cross paths with a moose because I think like bears are, for lack of a better phrase, they're probably, you know, way more copacetic than a moose would be. Because I think it's like a moose is like if you're treading on the territory, that's it. Like get away. So that's what I learned on my Alaska trip. Do not mess with moose. And this is an interesting picture because I think this was where we were supposed to continue the trip, but the problem was there were either torrential rains, which actually washed out a part of the trail, and they were, I think, reconstructing a bridge to keep going that way. But we essentially went like down to the riverbed and we had to turn around because you can't take this bridge and you can't keep going down that route. Otherwise, you probably would have got another 20 miles into the interior of the state park. And I am literally not kidding. Denali State Park is just ginormous. It's unbelievably big. It's essentially God's country, and I mean that extremely seriously. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Still can't see Denali through the clouds here, but this is just a beautiful picture anyway. And you can tell, even with the weather being what it was, you can tell you get to a place where the altitude is high enough and you still have snow on the mountains. Oh, okay. A moose will usually bluff charge and try to scare you. Okay, okay. Yeah. Actually, actually this reminds me, you're gonna see a picture later on, but the tour guides and the park rangers, you're more likely than not gonna see them packing. I saw one that had a rifle like a I don't know what you call it. I'm sorry, not a rifle, a shotgun slung across their shoulder, and it's it's a thing that you have to do. I think the thing is though, I would probably put I would probably say this with confidence. Every single park ranger that's out there is probably highly trained and knows how to get themselves into and out of trouble. And when I say to get themselves into trouble, they understand what would probably get them or other people into trouble. So the incidence of them having to discharge their weapon is probably very, very, very low, as opposed to what would happen if, for whatever reason, one of us had a weapon in a state park and we are about to get charged by a bear. Like the incidence of bears or moose getting shot will probably be much, 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 much higher. But it's an American rule that you can't have guns in a state park to begin with. So that's a discussion. Yeah, there you go. High caliber. So I would imagine if you are a park ranger and you're about to put down a bear, you probably better have like what, like 12 gauge or just better, 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 better than that. Hello, Pavlin. Hello, friend. Good to see you. I hope that you are doing okay today. I am reviewing pictures from my trip to Alaska, and man, it was amazing. I'm going through some pictures now. Oh, here we go. This was a good picture. We were boarding a train. We took the train from Denali State Park down to Talkeetna. And essentially, this takes you through some of the most beautiful country by rail. You sit up top under the dome, so to speak, so you can look up and look out to the mountains and see things around you. Down below, they have the dining and maybe a few other places to sit and enjoy. So let me see if I can find some pictures of maybe what I had, or at the very least what I tried. Let me see. Okay, this is probably good enough. This is a view from down on this on the lower level, where you can actually have like your meal and just take in the view. Oh, you're trying to find an Edelweiss 777 livery. Did they? I mean, I'm sure they had them, but I guess not a lot of people actually created them. Hmm. And do I have any pictures of the food? Let me see if I can find a picture. Don't have any food pics, but basically picture this. Like you're having food on a train down by the river as you're cutting through the mountains. This is there are a few words to describe how beautiful the trip was. It was utterly amazing. Now, some of the trees looked more brown than others. Unfortunately, they were having and still are having an infestation problem with, I think they are Japanese beetles. So the problem is that they don't have they 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 can't really do anything about them. They have to basically just let things take their course. This, though, is a picture of a different area. As we got closer and closer to Talkeetna, the range kind of started to open up a lot more, and you can see like it's way more wide open. The mountains and the hills go way further off into the distance, and the vistas out here are absolutely beautiful. I think we're probably like about 40, like an hour away from Talkeetna at that point. And this was dope. We got to cross, I think, one of the highest railway crossings probably in the entire US, short of maybe like Arizona or New Mexico. Um, I want to say we were between 8 to 2,800 feet above the ground. And this is not a glacially fed river, so you can tell the difference. You can see how it's not like creamy or like gray. It's just like a more natural river color. And I took several pictures of it, just sharing a few because I literally, again, haven't finished going through the pictures yet. One of the things that I forgot to say about the trip, the train ride, was that the tracks that we were using were also home to something called the hurricane train, and it has nothing to do with like, typhoons or hurricanes. It's just a name that they've given to a train. It's actually used by people that live out here kind of off the grid. And the train is actually their only way to and from their home, barring, if they have like a plane or a helicopter, they actually use the train as a commuter system. It wasn't the train that we were riding on, but there's a different train where they basically go to a specific location. Like you hop on the plane, sorry, you hop on the train, you tell them where you're going, like what mile marker, they stop at that mile marker, they drop you off, and they're gone. Like during the summer, I think they run um 5 days a week, and then in the winter, I think they run one day a month. So like there's a clear distinction between their operations. Again, we're talking about an area of the state like still close to the middle where they're dealing with, I think, temperature extremes. And as we got closer and closer to town, we got to go past, I think, like a literal active kind of like rest area where some folks were. I'm not sure if that was just rigged so people could actually see what that would look like or if there were actually people there, but that's kind of neat. And there were tents there, at least one. And I mean, yeah, like you kind of have to know what you're doing because you're in the wilderness and you will have encounters with nature. But eventually, we made it to Talkeetna, and then from Talkeetna to the lodge where we were staying, it takes literally an hour on a bus. So it's both funny and kind of serious at the same time. To get anywhere in that area, you're going to be driving or riding something for a while. When we did get to the lodge, this actually caught my attention. This was, and actually still is, a legitimate, real life airplane that somebody had for a while. And this plane belonged to somebody that lived in Alaska for many years. And one of the things that we kind of take for granted with the aircraft that we fly, in, mostly, the passenger airliners and stuff like that, is that in a place like Alaska, where the road systems only take you so far into the state, these airplanes represent more than just another way of getting around. These airplanes make their own way. So people like the owner of this plane, for example, they not only got to where they were going, but I think they were kind of, in one sense, an air taxi or a way to help people in need. And that left an impression on me because I think about the idea of getting a private pilot's license as not a luxury but something that's an option for me. But if you live in certain parts of Alaska, you you literally you have to have a way of getting around, otherwise you're going to be where you are for a long time and maybe waiting for a train or for somebody to pick you up in an aircraft. But that's just one of the things that impresses me about this part of the country. It's just like literally living on a new frontier. Yes, isn't it though, Wombi? Hello, my friend. Welcome. This one has some history. Let me see if I have any other pictures of it. Oh, this is an even better shot. Look at this. Look at that. Basically, I forget where it was that they found this aircraft. It must have been nearby, but the airplane had fallen into disrepair, and I guess the historical society, they took it upon themselves to restore the aircraft literally from the bolts up. They I think they fully disassembled it and rebuilt it from literally from bolts to what it is there. And it is, as far as I understand, FAA certified and a flyable aircraft. And when we were at the lodge, the McKinley Lodge, there were folks there that were taking their pictures next to it. So I'm glad I got a chance to get a shot of the aircraft with nobody else around. It's majestic, and I think that little plane literally has seating for two. Like that's it, two people, period. And you would use this to, I guess, fly around town. Well, not fly around town, but fly around the state. Oh yeah, and Alaska is the state where the highest number of, I think, uh, GA aircraft are registered with good reason. So, oh wow, look at this picture. Look at that. This was, I think, the last full day that I had in the state. We went to the we went to another river tour, but we had a jet boat tour. And when we pulled into Talkeetna, they had the I think the hurricane train was here, and that's basically, I think, one of the two engines, one of the three engines for the hurricane train. And again, the hurricane train is basically like a mass transit system. Let me see if I have any other pictures. Oh, I don't. It's okay though. Um, this was where we boarded. Yeah, the jet boat's in Talkeetna. That's right. That's right. I'm gonna see if I can pull up some video footage, because I took some video footage of us being on the river when we were there. That that port, that, like, basically, I guess that floating platform was where the boats would hook in and mount and unmount people. And let me see. Yeah, this is basically riding on the inside, and the picture doesn't even begin to do it justice, because essentially what happens is that person up front is managing the engines for the boat, and when you're under power, the nose lifts up, and then, like, you're going all of about, like, I think, like 30 knots upriver and 40 knots downriver. And it's so loud, it's so boomy, and it's so utterly amazing. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm going to say unbelievable a lot because it's difficult to describe. And let me see. We did exit the boat at one point, and we saw like a trapper settlement. And this is what I'm talking about. That wonderful lady on the left of this kind of like um, salmon storage pit. She was the ranger that was taking us on a tour, explaining how people would trap and like harvest fish and live off the land. And I'm gonna try to find a better shot because we talked about this a little while ago. Let me see. I took a bunch of pictures of like the furs and stuff that they had and whatnot. Okay, let's see. I think this is good enough. So, notice something? Notice this very big shotgun? I mean, she's packing. That's just how it works. So, I mean, it's more of a deal. When you're walking through a place where there aren't that many roads and you have nature at your back, you kind of have to be prepped and ready. You do. There's no joke. But I think usually, and I'm just going to say this just based on assumption, I think most of the problem with people being in nature is just that we're I mean, I'm a noob with regards to understanding what to do in terms of staying away from wildlife and keeping a respectable amount of distance between them and you. They're trained, so they get to carry the guns. I'm not. This is an interesting area because this is kind of like a trapper's area displayed. Now, what's interesting about this picture is that what you don't see off to the right is the trapper's cabin. And this would also be here as well. But this cache, like literally CACHE, this cache where they would like keep their food and like their supplies and stuff, this actually wouldn't be in the same area as their residence. Yeah, koala. Hello, welcome aboard. Glad to have you stop by. We are going over actually my very recent trip to Alaska last week. We're looking at a kind of like demonstration or rigging of a trapper's like clearing. The only thing you don't see right now is the house, and I have a picture of that. But basically, this is where their furs were, and this was basically where they'd store their food. But this, as a whole, would be way outside their residence, so that if a wandering animal went to where the trapper's house was, they wouldn't automatically go straight to the cache. This cache actually is not a typical part of the layout here. This would be, probably several dozen, several hundred yards away from wherever they stayed and wherever they did most of their work. So I have a few pictures of their house, which I can show you. Okay, so same park ranger, same shotgun, but this was the trapper's house. And what's interesting is that the way they set up their home was, in order for you to get in, you'd have to pull the door open. If a bear wanted to get into the house of a trapper, they would probably try to get up on their hind paws and push the door in. And since it opens out, it wouldn't work for them. The cache that you saw before was just there for illustration purposes, but this is basically the layout and what they would build to subsist or to survive. The dirt that they would put on top of their roof would eventually, like grow natural like plants and grass on top of it, and the log cabin was designed to basically be very weatherable, so it wouldn't have windows, which is pretty cool. I forget where this was exactly, but we were probably a good maybe 5, 10 miles outside Talkeetna. And if you're curious about what the inside of a cabin, the trapper's cabin looks like, this is it. I got to take a picture of it. So this is like the interior, which is pretty neat. Definitely snug accommodations for sure. Good for like, I guess, two people at most. And I think that's most of, if not all, the pics that I had. And back at the lodge, on a clear day, you would see the mountains of I think the Denali Range. And where there's clouds here, you would see Mount Denali. But I wasn't able to see Denali going forward at that point because the clouds were mostly in the way. It was kind of raining, and it wasn't going to happen. We were on a cruise ship about 2 or 3 days later when somebody sent us a picture of the view of Denali, and it was really, really clear that day. It was beautiful. But all things considered, the weather that we got when we were there was fantastic. Oh, you're in Italy. Okay, okay. I mean, sheesh, the Italy's got some beautiful vistas, and of course you've got the Swiss Alps and the Pyrenees as well in Europe. So again, hello, my friend. Glad to see you. Obviously, my first stream back after being away in Alaska for a couple of weeks. We are recounting the experience, and I'm showing pictures of my tour. This is from a lookout point at McKinley Lodge. Those mountains that are out there are part of the, I think, the Denali Range, but Denali is not visible there, unfortunately. And to put it in perspective, these basically are only about a third the size of Denali. So literally, these are like 6,000-foot peaks. Believe it or not, it actually was not that cool when we went up to Fairbanks and Talkeetna, but I think it's probably going to start cooling down now. That's just my guess. And no, I don't think I saw anything even close approaching that. So I took some pictures of the ride out to the trip to Whittier. So believe it or not, Alaska actually does have limited access highways. We rode down, I think, Alaska Route 1 down to Whittier. Sicily. Okay. Yep. Yep. There you go. Um, and we rode we rode on a bus into Anchorage to get some food, and then eventually we got to a point where the mountains really started to muscle in on us. We got to a place where there were I think like mud flats, and the really crazy thing about this is that I think there's water out there, but there's a lot of mud. And the problem with this mud is that it's kind of like quicksand in that it can suck you in, and you literally need to be pulled up by a rope. Seward Highway, yes, there you go. So this mud's actually pretty dangerous. And if you know anything about Seward Highway, you know that eventually you can peel off to a place where you actually go through a mountain. We stopped at a rest area to kind of collect ourselves before we went to the other side of the hill, the mountain. And I got to take a picture of some beautiful vistas out here, including this mountain, which appears to have basically some teeny glaciers on it. And you can kind of tell the blue over there. Yeah, it is very dangerous to go out there on those mud flats. But this was literally, I think, like just before we got on the bus to go through. The road to Whittier, you are correct. Once again, nicely done, friend. So we stretched our legs for about maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we got on the bus. And let me see, where are the pictures? Where are the pictures? This is actually one of the most interesting tunnel excursions I took, because you have like one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 different lanes, and each lane has a traffic light. So each lane gets a chance to go through. If you did not know this about the crossing into or out of Whittier, the crossing is on a schedule. You have a time window through which you're cleared to go through that crossing. Um, there's a little bit of give and take depending on whether or not any trains are unscheduled and have to go through because of some need. But essentially what it means is you have to cross that tunnel, and it's 1 lane tunnel when you're scheduled to go through. Otherwise you might not cross that day. And I think I took a picture of us approaching the tunnel just so you get perspective. Oh, and by the way, you do share the tunnel with trains. So again, being properly scheduled is very important. Quite similar to going through the Alps from Switzerland to Italy. Yep, there you go. Okay, so after we went through the tunnel, and I have some video footage that I can share with you guys, we got down to the pier. And this is where cruise ships come in and take you, and then you go cruising down down the down the coast of Alaska. Yeah, those trains, man, momentum. But I mean, from a safety perspective, you'd probably have to do three levels of stupidity to wind up in the situation where you go head to head with a train engine, and it doesn't end well. So there you go. There were, I think, three or four different cruise ships that were cruising through down and north on the Alaskan coast. So let's see. And this is just part of the view. Like, look at this. Just the snow that's still on those mountains, even though the temperature was like in the 60s. You've got little rivers that go down as well. And this was the cruise terminal. I went through the cruise terminal at an incredible rate. Like, they checked us in, we went through security, we were on the boat. I would say literally in about 15 minutes. Not even that, like probably 10. You have to create the livery yourself, Pamela. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully you'll get a chance to practice. I don't even know how to create liveries for aircraft myself. I probably wouldn't mind learning, but at the same time, I do scenery dev. So this was the port of Whittier, and let me see. Let me show you guys a good picture. Scotland. Yeah, you want to know what? That's probably a very good comparison. We eventually got out into the open ocean, and like I said, we shared the space with a few other cruise ships. Like that one, I don't know which one that is. I think that's Discovery Princess, like Princess Cruise Lines. And there's safety in numbers. Like if you're doing a big crossing, or if you're going down a certain path, having one or two other cruise ships in the area is, I think it's actually orchestrated as a way of being able to guarantee or to assure each other's safety, if I understand correctly. But the cruise itself was wonderful. The sea was very nice, very accepting. And the next day, I think, we started looking at the waters of, I think, either Glacier Bay or one of the glaciers that we tried to get close to. Look at how incredible that water is. The water looks tropical, but I think it has something to do with the minerals being given off by the icebergs. We couldn't get very close to one of the glaciers that was in the bay, but we got pretty close, and I can see if I can find a picture or two of it. I am literally scrolling through my camera. Okay. Um, I think I think this might be as good as it gets. All right. We couldn't get very far in. Camp Route? Hello, my friend. Very good to see you. We are recounting a recent trip I took to Alaska. I literally came back from Alaska last night. And this was the part of the tour when we were on a cruise ship. And we couldn't get much further into the bay because of all the ice and the icebergs. But essentially, this is a glacier. And when the glaciers drop parts of themselves into the water, that's called calving. But we didn't see that calf. At least I don't think so. Yeah, kind of like the White Cliffs of Dover. Yeah. So this was probably about as close as we were going to get. And do I have any other pictures of that? I don't think so, but the view was just so beautiful. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is a much better shot. Watch this. I forget the name of this glacier. However, you see this line here? All this like basically this wall. When my wife and I were watching, the middle piece right here broke off and fell in two pieces. It was an amazing trip camp route. It really was. So one piece fell, and then the other piece fell, and it made a big splash. That's called calving. And as far as I remember, Mrs. Digi got that on video. Somebody else got video of, I think, like eagles in the area. But do you see how far up that glacier goes and how it just takes it down to the water's edge? It was absolutely amazing. It's really my word. No, I think we call that cannonballing Sogan when you jump in and you want to make a big splash. I think I did that once, but it was more of a belly flop, and that hurts. But some of the vistas in the Glacier Park are just incredible. Um, let me see. Yeah, we were looking at that glacier for a while, and then oh, this is an even better shot. Look at this right here. So this was zoomed in a bit, but you can really get a sense for the way that glacier is composed. I don't think it's safe. It certainly wasn't safe to walk on these pieces that are about to break off, but I think you'd probably have to go considerably further north into the mountains to be able to land on a piece of the glacier that actually is stable enough. It was just, it was breathtaking, especially when it calved. So we were there for a while, and then we went through like really glacier fed waters, and after that we started going into the shore excursions. The first shore excursion we had, fortunately, no risk was taken by the captain, so they played it safe, and we enjoyed the view. I also enjoyed more than a few other things. Like, for example, food. Let's see, that's a cheesecake, and that is a fruit plate. They had fantastic honeydew and cantaloupe. And this, I forget what this was. Um, I think it's like gourmet carrot cake or something like that, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Let me see what else we had. Oh, no, that was it. So we went to Michelin star. You got that right. We went to a place called Icy Strait Point, and we went there to go whale watching. There was a family of, I think, three, maybe four whales that were there. Um, the whales, they never really, they didn't jump, they didn't breach, but they came far enough up to the surface so that we could actually see them spout a little bit of like steam. And there were about, I want to say, four of the ships that were keeping their distance, which was utterly amazing. And we were there, I think, like a good hour, just taking video footage and taking photos of them. Let me see. I know I've got a bunch of pictures, so this may take me a little while to go through. But did I get any other ones? Oh yeah, like this picture for example. You can tell that tail right there of one of the whales. Um, they kind of all stayed together, which was beautiful. It, if you've never actually witnessed like whales like coming up or like being right next to them, I don't think you have enough of a mental comparison to make when you see something that big come up next to you. It's a whole different experience. So let me see. Wait, well, what have we here? You are correct. Three of them, in fact. Here, I'll show you. Right about here. So you can tell one, two, and in the back, three. Um, you can't see under the water here because of just the fogginess and the way the water's being hit by light, but there you go. Goldfish in a tank, close enough for me. Yeah, yeah. I think every time they came up, it was about 3 to 4 seconds before they went back down. So it is tricky. It is tricky. Like you either need an extremely good camera or you need a camera with an extremely good like, focus, like you said. So literally that was it. And we went back to stage, no, went back to the ship. We caught the shows. They had great food, great entertainment, and there were like a few interesting things like that they had to do, like game shows and like dancing and stuff like that. And then the next day, we went to Juneau. And we went to Juneau for two reasons. We went to Juneau for a um, a trip up to see, I think, the Mendenhall Glacier, and then to also ride a tram up to the top of one of the mountains there, which is literally a tram ride that takes you from sea level to 1,800 feet in about 10 minutes. This was on the way out to the Mendenhall Glacier. So I should have a few pictures of that. You shot dolphins. Dedicated phase detector. What's that? Does that mean that you have the ability to kind of like have the system help you with focus really quickly? Or does that mean that it tells you when they're within shot for the zoom? Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just the way the town is built. One of the things about Alaska that kind of surprised me is literally that Alaska has, I think, like one or a couple hundred earthquakes every day. Most of the earthquakes that they have happen, I think, in the uh, archipelago, the islands that go out from the state. But I think there are more than a few earthquakes that actually happen inside the mainland. Also, Alaska has this thing called permafrost. Not so much down here, but when you start going into places like Talkeetna, Denali, Fairbanks, permafrost is basically like permanently frozen terrain. And when you build or you pave on top of that, when you go through the changes of the seasons of the year, the permafrost will expand and contract the land above it. So what happens is if you build highways in that area, you get something basically called the Alaskan roller coaster, where the highway doesn't fall into disrepair, but it needs to basically be repaired every year. Not like this though, because this is basically, Juneau is a lot better. But in terms of places where permafrost is a thing, the trees don't have as many roots. They kind of all depend on each other to stay up. And like I said, the roads make for very interesting and bouncy drives. You're not going to want to go that fast because otherwise you're going to bottom out your car. Not even kidding. This picture is the way up to the Mendenhall Glacier. Oh, wow. Quad pixel phase detect. Um, I mean, I think permafrost made me very curious, but just living in Alaska, I think, is an exercise in determination and ingenuity. So it took us probably about maybe 20 some odd minutes to get to the glacier. And I took this picture while we were almost arriving there, so you can tell there's a really big glacier out here. And we were moving, so the focus was just like blurry. But I can show you a few pictures of that glacier a little bit better. Ibanez, hello, my friend. Welcome back. Very good to see you. Um, Glad to have you aboard. I am going through pictures of the trip that we took to Alaska, my friend, and you happened to catch us. Thank you so much. It was an amazing, amazing time. One of the pictures that took the glacier, basically, you can see how far back it goes, and it can calf into the body of water, which is right there. I don't think it does as much these days, but you can tell how far back it goes. It's just amazing. You probably would go through a good camera or two if you lived up here. So it's kind of hard to get perspective how big or how beautiful this place is, but I went down to the water's edge, and essentially this is just looking out across the bay. You can see how there's like a piece of glacier which is just super blue, and you can get perspective of just the flow of the glacier going down to the water's edge. It's just amazing. It's beautiful, and you are in nature, so you're going to have nature encounters if you're expecting or you're not expecting them. So let me show you an example of something beautiful that I saw. I was walking the path, and I happened to see something big and furry cross my path. And I didn't think about it because I wasn't paying attention to it right up until it went past my foot. And I looked in the overgrowth, and I saw a porcupine. And it was probably about 2, 3 feet long. And this was about as close as I got to it, which, all things considered, is probably a very good thing. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. It's folks like you that make being in the community an amazing experience, and I love your soul. I mean, yes, you are amazing. You're absolutely amazing. Let me see if I can find any other shots of the porcupine. Anything closer? Oh no, I didn't. I didn't. That was the only one I saved. This, on the other hand, this is beautiful. This is, I think it's called Nugget Falls, and the water is literally coming down the side of the mountain. And you have this kind of like little beach area here, and you can actually kayak across the lake. But this is about a mile from the start of the trail, so it's a 2 mile round trip. So I walked so fast to get here, and I walked even faster to get back because I was afraid of missing my departure time. But I made it, clearly. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, what else? Oh, oh, right there. There you go. It's probably not going to get much better in terms of seeing the waterfall. Like that is a lot of water coming down. And it was so refreshing. like the mist kicking up and the temperature right there. It was so cool. So nice to stand there. I was literally, I kid you not, I was literally by the water's edge. It was just absolutely stunning and superb. I have not posted them in Discord yet. I literally am pulling from the camera, like right from my phone right now. So it's it's like one of those things where it's like, you get home and you're sharing stuff with your friends, like literally raw. So, oh, great shot. On the tram, going up the side of a mountain. This is Juneau, and I'm going to show you an even cooler part of the trip. Let me see. Okay, does anybody recognize this piece of land? I shot with a Android phone, believe it or not. I got my hands on an Android phone with a 101 megapixel um, mode. So whenever I remembered, I took high resolution shots. You just did you know? Nice. Okay, so this is basically the lookout point. This is the city of Juneau, and this is Juneau International Airport. So if any of y'all do sim flights into Juneau, you know how picturesque and amazing the approaches are. You probably didn't know that there was a tram on the side of the mountain that actually looks at people at the airport, which is amazing. I mean, the flight sim geek in me was just hardcore geeking out. I'm like, that's amazing. So that was a great shot. And then we literally got up to the top, and then we literally rode right back down. Oh, yeah. By the way, a plaque to commemorate the USS Juneau. This was a ship that we lost during, I believe, the Battle of Guadalcanal in the Pacific. And yeah, you know, it's uh, it's obviously placed there out of respect for those that perished in the fighting. So my respects. Now, let me see. What else can I show you? Food, food. Yes, there was a lot of food. Where was this? Oh, wait a minute. I think I think this was when we were heading out of live streaming Juno. This is when we were heading, I think we were heading out of Ketchikan, or we were either going to Ketchikan from Juneau, or we were heading out of Ketchikan back onto the open waters. And the view out here at this time of night was absolutely divine. And I just punched up, I think, like max resolution mode on my camera and just took a shot. Dude, um, it was like, I think, mid 50s outside at that point. It was a little breeze. It was just a little breezy because we were probably going about 10, 15 knots. And there was, I think, literally nobody else out here. Princess Cruise Line. It was incredible. The attention to detail they have in their service, in terms of like dinner service and just the care they take to take care of you as an individual is amazing, absolutely amazing. This, I I don't even have words, man. I was wearing my heart on my sleeve. It was just unreal. Okay, so yeah, we were on the way to Ketchikan, and there were more than a few fishing boats, I think, that were out here, and that actually went past the ship. And this is basically what the bay looked like. So the reason why I'm so high up off the water is because we were in I think the world market, or like kind of like the buffet dining hall. When we got ready, we went down to like level 4, level 3. We literally boarded a tender, which is like one of these boats right here, and we went into the bay. So the cruise ships were taking turns docking at certain positions. So I think what happened later was either this ship or this ship moved, and our cruise ship
Final
went.
approach checklist complete.
Oh, Iowa Scotsman, thanks for the resub. Really appreciate your support, friend. Thank you so much. If you've been lurking, we have been recounting our trip to Alaska, and it's utterly amazing. Ibanez, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Really appreciate the support. Um, so we have been enjoying just at this point we were like I think 5 or 6 days. I think like 5 days into the cruise, and we took a water taxi into town, and then in Ketchikan we what did we do? What did we do? Oh, that's right. We took a boat. We took a boat to go see totems, eagles, and a lighthouse. And Ketchikan, I think this day was super busy. Like, we waited for the bus on the pier, and then we basically went into the interior, and we saw some very interesting, I think, houses. And the cool thing about Ketchikan is that they have streets, and then they have streets on like wooden stilts, and then they have streets which are essentially just stairways. But it's funny. This was an interesting mural, I guess you could say, with just statues. I didn't know what this was. I'm not sure if these are like pilgrims or if this just tells a bigger story. But let me see. Let me see if I can zoom in. What is this? The Rock by Dave Rubin. I guess I'm going to have to look that up, but it was a nice shot I took, or wanted to take. So, uh, oh wow. There we go. I got a better shot. Thank you, Pavlin. Appreciate your support. And this is a much better shot of I guess the meaning of it. Uh, I think it's like Tlingit, and I think that's one of the other indigenous tribes. Um, there's a lot of culture that's out here. It's incredible. Thanks so much for the 100 bits, Pavlin. Really appreciate your support. That was one of the things that really kind of I enjoyed getting to understand just the backstory of this place. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful. Yes. You get to see people, and this place thrives off of tourism. Wait, he was born there? Um, cool. And we took a road out to where we're gonna take that ship. And the cool thing about that was that we passed a seaport with a bunch of float planes, and that's another cruise ship going out to port. And then what else did we see? Oh, oh, okay, okay. I'm Digi Driver. I just caught up. This is an actually interesting ship. This was not one of the bigger ships, but this was close to the ship where we actually boarded. And this is called the Regatta. And apparently this sails between Ketchikan and Seattle. It looks like a small cruise ship, but it's probably like ultra luxurious. But it was nice. Now, let me see what else I have. Um, I did actually take a picture of some of the river, and I saw some jellyfish, and they had. I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do church on the water, but amen. Cross right there. I think it's backlit at night. I don't know, but praise the Lord anyway. And what else? What else? Some folks on the water doing some fishing. Air Amarak, hello, my friend. I am happy to see you. I am recounting my trip to Alaska with our friends out here, and we are basically on the last excursion day at a place called Ketchikan in Alaska. I talked about trips to Ketchikan, Juneau. We spent some time in Icy Strait Point, and we had spent a week before that in the land. So, what else do we have? These are literally homes on the shore, which is dope. Ketchikan has like one major highway. Yes, Ketchikan is a really funky airport because of the weird taxiing that you do. Um, I don't think I used a filter at all, Sogan. I know that there's there's two lenses. They have the 2 megapixel kind of like zoom or some kind of filter, but essentially whenever I remember to, I used high resolution mode. So I forget how the phone actually um, preserves details, but the pictures were each like 20 megabytes or something like that. So there's a lot of detail that's actually in the shot. A 12 megapixel shot would be, it would just like, not fall apart, but it would disintegrate, so to speak, when you zoomed in. This is an actual interesting shot. You're looking at a home, and somewhere around here on the right side of those trees, there's an eagle's nest, and they have a camera set up. So we hovered around here for a little bit, trying to see if we could see an eagle. We didn't. We did wind up seeing some eagles at the lighthouse, which I will show you very shortly. Sorry. And we did see more than a few totem poles. What I learned was that the totem poles themselves are basically the way that peoples would tell stories, which I think I remember vaguely from like being in high school or college, but I had forgotten about that. And there are like a good 6 or 7 of them on this specific island, which is very, very interesting. Um, no, 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 no. That was a different stream. I was trying to land in Jackson Hole in Wyoming, and I was in X-Plane 12, and I was in an Airbus, and it was last winter. And what happened was, I think I either stalled or the wings iced so badly that the one wing literally tipped, and then I plummeted to the ground. It was amazing. It literally happened in like 5 seconds because I think I lost forward lift, and then literally the plane just nosedived, and it was over in about maybe 10, 12 seconds. And that was the first time I realized X-Plane 12 weather can take you out, which was, in one sense, I mean, like I'm happy that it happens in a sim and not in real life because it just happens so quick. That's right. That's right. And I tried taking off from Jackson with those conditions, and the first time I tried it, I crashed. So you really have to stay on top of anti-icing and a takeoff like that, which was unbelievable. So, um, more houses, more houses on the side of the river area. The replay was, I mean, like, what are you gonna say? Like, it happened so quickly. Yeah, and landing with a tailwind is probably not a good idea either, especially if you have a strong tailwind. So I think I learned that lesson once. More houses on the side of the like the sound, so to speak, or the bay. And then we went out to the lighthouse. Did I capture any shots of the? No, I didn't. This is about as close as I got, and I'll show you. There actually were people that were sitting or squatting on this island because there did not only used to be a lighthouse here, but some other buildings. And it turns out the U.S. government, I think in like the 70s, finally demolished or dismantled the other buildings to discourage people from actually staying on the island. Now, I think those two birds up top there are eagles. And this angle doesn't show it, but there's a little island off to the left as well. And the very, very strange thing that happened, we were there, we were taking in the vista, taking in the wheelhouse and looking at the eagles. I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden I noticed this thing that flew up to the window, stayed about an arm's reach away from me, hovered, and then flew away. I turned to Mrs. DG and I told her, I think I just saw a hummingbird. And she cried because hummingbirds were one of her grandmother's favorite birds. The strange thing about that is, yes, it's just a hummingbird, but at the same time, what would a hummingbird be doing all the way out in the middle of the bay in Alaska? Like, period. I told the one of the folks that was actually running the boat tour, and they were utterly surprised. They were just like, it seemed very strange to them. It was just, I guess you could say it was a beautiful moment that I had. Just, I barely kind of noticed it, but I was just like, that's a hummingbird. So we went back to the dock, and yeah, hummingbirds are spectacular. And then pretty much once we got back to the dock, it was full speed ahead, because Ketchikan was basically the last port of call. Yeah, why and how was it even down there? Exactly my point. That was just, could be a case for divine intervention as far as I know. Thank you, Lord. This view out the window, I think, was either from our stateroom or from one of the dining hall windows. And this was basically when we took off and we started sailing back down to Vancouver. Thank you, Air Amarok. Thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate having you here. And take care. Yeah, yeah. We were wondering. I was still. Even now, I'm still kind of wondering why that hummingbird was actually there to begin with. It just seems kind of strange. Take care, Amarok. Good to see you. So pretty much past this point, we're done with excursions. We are, on our way home, and I am enjoying stuff like, evening coffee with before and after dinner. And there were, I think, like a few other shows. I had this thing called crackling pork belly with sticky rice. It was amazing. And I had this very interesting dessert, which was it tasted different than I think what I was expecting a cake to taste like, but it was okay. And so we were there like last night on the boat, and we're sitting out on the Lido deck. Hey, right place, right time. Speaking of which, I'm watching a movie on the outer TV, and all of a sudden, somebody's like, "Hey, what's like something out like like over there?" I look and I saw this. There was a submarine literally about, I want to say 2 nautical miles off the starboard side of the ship. And you ever get that moment where, like, you think in your head, what's going on? So, sorry. Essentially, I'm piecing this together in my head right now. I think what happened was Canada actually does have some registered submarines, and I believe they were there as escort because literally about a minute or two after I took that shot, the fog rolled in, and then the ship kept sounding horn blasts. I think it sounded like 7 or 8 of them. Um, and it was unsettling at first, but then I'm like, well, I mean, on the one hand, if stuff's about to go down, like it's me on a boat in the middle of like the Victorian Bay, and we do what we do. Uh, it was it was definitely a little surreal at one point, but then eventually the whatever was going on with the sub settled. I never really saw it that close again, and that was about it. We got to a point later that night where we were having a little bit of a snack off the back of the boat, and uh the sky kind of like cleared up a little bit. You can see where I think like the fog was and the rest of the clouds were, and the wake of the ship. And you can tell we were in the inner passage at this point because we saw, I think, land to our left and to our right. And then I think we caught like one last show, and then we got back to Vancouver early in the morning, and that's where we docked. So we woke up. We already had our luggage set aside to be set to be picked up at the cruise terminal, and so we went to grab breakfast and then went to the terminal, and then we got a bus ride through Vancouver to the airport because we were going to fly out of Vancouver to Denver and from Denver on home. Um, I snapped a few pics of some interesting stuff, the Hotel Georgia and that nice little yellow Ferrari outside, which I thought was dope. And then we went past, I think, a couple of government buildings, and we went through town, and we went to the airport. We had to go to a holding area first, and then we eventually made it to the airport to go home. I was thinking about doing a flight like from Vancouver back home, Pavlin, but I think um, we got home so late last night that I was just like, I was tired. I was out of it. Mrs. Digi wasn't feeling very good at all, and we were just like, I figured just like having a stream like this would be cool. Thanks for the 100 bits. Really appreciate that, Pavlin. So we got a bit of a guided tour through the city of Vancouver. We got into the airport, and then we were waiting for our flight, and I was just looking out the window. Oh, you mean VFR in Alaska? I would definitely like to do that. I think if anything else, this trip has taught me there is so much to see. Obviously, it's not going to compare with actually being there, but now that I know some of the places we can go, it's going to be more enjoyable. So I think some VFR flying in Alaska is probably going to happen in the not too distant future. I was looking at some airplanes taking off or being handled, and and I actually got Tim Hortons. I was in Vancouver Canuck, if you're watching this on a replay, I actually did go to Tim Hortons and I got a double double. So, not a K cup, an actual double double. And it was delicious, which is funny. Um, so we took off. You want to do some Kodiak flying in Juneau. I don't think I have the Kodiak, but I think you can still fly the Caravan. I can fly the Caravan because it's a default plane that's included. So I might do that one of these days. The meme, the meme value. Th- It, that sounds more meta than meme. You forgot P3D. Yes. Ooh, two fighters intercepted because the pilots lost communication with ATC. Wow. Speaking of flying things, we took off out of Vancouver yesterday to go to Denver, and there was some weather out there. It was quite picturesque. And what else? Well, that's about it, really. I went through the pictures at that point. What happened was basically we landed at Denver in between clouds, and when we left Denver, there were thunderstorms. So I'm gonna check the videos that I have now and see which ones I can share with you guys because there are probably some really cool videos that I took. I'm probably gonna skip the videos where we were like whale watching stuff like that or like the takeoff videos. I might have a landing video into. Oh no, wait, I didn't. I don't have a video of landing at Denver. I think Mrs. Digi does. Let me see. There's a video of a float plane taking off, which I'm going to share with you guys if I can. If it plays. Hello? Nice. Can I change the volume on this? Unfortunately, I can't do it because I don't think there's a volume control on it, but I'll share with you the screen capture. No, not that screen capture. Did I change the window? Hello? Why did I change the screen capture? It was supposed to be. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I think it's complaining because it's no longer a picture. It has to be. Really? Oh, man. Um, Let me give you the link to Discord. Yeah, hold on. I think I'm signed in. Actually, I'm not. Stand by. For some reason, I cannot get my Discord app to work on my computer ever since I updated Windows. So I have to sign into the site. Hold on, guys. Stand by. I might just have to uninstall it completely and reinstall it again. But stand by, friends. Man, you can tell I've been away from a computer. Okay, great. Now, can I get I have two-factor authentication. Okay, what's my number? And, oh, numlock on, silly. All right, great. Stand by. Yeah, like, I don't know what happened, but it's okay. Like, whatever is whatever. I'm going to go to my Discord and grab the link to rules. All right, great. Stand by one. And bam, there's the link to my Discord if you want to join. There are rules that you do need to accept in order to be a member of the crew. If anybody is here from Discord that's been a member of Discord and hasn't approved or accepted the rules in the rules section, please do so. I am going to be pruning my list shortly, and I would not want to remove someone that was willing and able to abide by the rules of Discord if they didn't actually agree to them. So if you are a Discord member today, make sure you go to the rules page in the Digi Discord and make sure you click on the thumbs up tag so I can see that you accept and agree to be bound by those rules. For some reason, I can't seem to get the videos set. So I think instead of trying to wrestle with that, I'm actually going to probably wrap it up here. I'm going to see if I can make myself some dinner or figure something else out. I might go flying in the sim a little bit later. I think I'm probably going to stream again tomorrow as long as I'm in good spot to do so. I'm not as jet lagged as I probably could have been. It was a 4 hour difference, but I kind of stay up late to begin with, so the jet lag wasn't that bad coming or going. I just know I was very tired when I got in because I literally got in around 3 a.m. my time. So I will probably mess around tomorrow, do some, pretend VFR flying in places like Whittier, Denali, might go check out Anchorage, Juneau, Ketchikan, and see what happens. I'll probably stream for a little bit and then figure out what I want to do. I did um, spend quite a bit of time journaling while I was out in Alaska, partly because I didn't always have internet access, and also because I think it gave me a chance to get my thoughts out on paper. Turns out it was a really good thing to do because it actually gave me a chance to think about the things that I wanted to do in terms of streaming and in terms of doing future things with scenery development. Um, I'm not going to lie, I did not miss my IRL job at all while I was away. It was actually also cool to not be in front of a keyboard and not be doing scenery dev or flight sim stuff for a while. Because when you step away from something and you come back, I feel like you have this burst of creativity or a desire to do something really cool. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I will monitor any new arrivals and sign privileges accordingly. Again, feel free to take a look at the rules page and click the thumbs up icon to indicate you accept those things. Otherwise, oh, that's why it's important to take breaks. You are correct, sir. I did not think about that enough, and I'm happy that I actually got the chance to take a break and reset. If you want to stream, go for it, man. I understand that people are going to they're going to live the way that they do. I can only love on people and try to respect them as much as I can. As a born again Christian and a follower of Christ, I want everybody to know Jesus and to be saved. But I understand there are going to be some people that just refuse to or don't want to, and I want to show them respect and courtesy and love, and pray for them and pray that they come to a knowledge of Jesus Christ and be saved for all eternity. But it's their choice. I never want to shove what I believe in front of anybody's face. I think we're all capable of being able to make decisions on our own, and I leave the door open to conversation. You are still waiting for parts for your PC. That's right. Um, okay. It's been a little over 2 hours. I thank you guys so much for stopping by today and for being a part of my recollection of my trip to Alaska. It was quite a trip, literally. And now that we've been at this for a couple of hours, now we can pick somebody to raid. So the usual folks are here. I might want to try to find somebody that I haven't raided yet. Let me see. Let me see. Kurt Deasy Decimal, Captain Gong Show, Cool Joe, Ian Fisher, and Delta Scott is actually still flying. Um, Let me see. There's a short takeoff competition going on burst sticks right now, and I think Gadget FPV is doing some airline flights. Let me see. Let me check. They, I think, are either. Oh, I think they're just arriving right now. So it might not be a good idea to go there. Let me see. You know what? I do feel like saying hi to Sim Caesar because I haven't seen or heard from those folks in a while. Let's go ahead and raid Sim Caesar right now. Folks, thank you again so much for your time today. Please stick around for the raid if you can. We're going to say hi to Sim Caesar. And like I always like to say at the end of every stream, if you want true peace, you want another Prince of Peace, and that's Jesus Christ. Um, oh, yes, yes. And if you're in the Discord, take a look at Pavlin's recent video for, I think, a vlog, flight vlog. It's in the promotions and shout out section. Folks, take care. Stick around for the raid. Have a great rest of your day. All the best to you. Until next time, we'll see ya.